Have you ever been told you're just too nice? Well, today we're going to talk about why that constant urge to please everyone is often way deeper than just a personality trait. Let's get into it, because what many of us just brush off as people-pleasing is actually a really powerful survival instinct.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You're in a crowded space, someone bumps into you, and without even thinking, you're the one saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry." If that sounds even a little bit familiar, then this explainer is probably going to connect a whole lot of dots for you. It's one of those little moments that actually points to something much bigger happening inside our own wiring. So, here's the first big idea we have to get our heads around. There is a massive difference between genuine kindness, which comes from a place of feeling secure and confident, and the fawn response, which is a reaction that's totally born out of fear. See, one is a choice you make, and the other feels like a compulsion you can't control. And just knowing that difference, that's the first step. Okay, so let's peek under the hood at the biology of this, because I really want to be clear, this is not a character flaw. This is your brain's protective wiring doing exactly what it was designed to do. This response has a logical, scientific root that goes way back to our most basic need to survive.
The official term for this is fawning, and it's pretty simple when you break it down. It's an instinctual reaction to something you perceive as a threat, where your go-to move is to try and please or appease whatever is causing that threat. And what's the goal? To smooth things over and avoid conflict, no matter what.
Now, most of us have heard of fight, flight, or freeze. Those are the big three. But fawning is the fourth, and honestly, it's the one that gets overlooked all the time. Your nervous system is in charge of all four of these, and it makes a split-second, totally subconscious decision about which one to use to keep you safe.
I absolutely love this metaphor. Imagine your nervous system is like a car alarm with the sensitivity cranked all the way up. A leaf falls on the windshield, and it just starts blaring. Well, your brain then gets tricked into thinking the only way to shut that alarm off and feel safe is to make sure every single person around you is perfectly happy, all of the time.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this actually pop up in our day-to-day lives? Let's break down 6 of the most common signs that you might be operating out of that fawn response.
And as we go through these, just kind of see which ones, if any, feel familiar.
First up, the constant apologies. You find yourself saying sorry for everything, for needing help, for having an opinion, for taking up space, even when you've done absolutely nothing wrong.
And this really isn't about being polite. What's happening on a subconscious level is that you are trying to disarm any potential conflict before it even has a chance to get started. You're basically taking the blame to keep the peace.
All right, number 2 is feeling like you're always wearing a mask. You have your work you, your friends you, and your family you, and sometimes it feels like none of them are the real you.
And this is a really important distinction to make. This isn't just you being a social chameleon. It's actually a protective mechanism where you change who you are because, deep down, you're terrified that the real you isn't acceptable and will be rejected.
Sign number 3 is that nagging, persistent feeling that your very presence is an inconvenience to other people. It's this heavy sense that you're always a burden.
And this feeling, it usually comes from a place of low self-worth. You might find yourself turning down invitations or never asking for help, all because you don't want to put anyone out. It's like you're a guest in your own life, just trying not to cause any trouble.
Which leads us perfectly into sign number 4, making yourself small to avoid being noticed. This ties directly back to that freeze response we mentioned earlier. You know that feeling when you sense any kind of stress in a room, maybe someone's tone of voice gets a little sharp? Well, your instinct is to just retreat. You go quiet, you hide what you really think and need, and you basically try to become invisible just to keep things calm.
Number 5 is a big one. It's suppressing your own anger. You might let people walk all over your boundaries again and again because the idea of actually confronting them feels completely terrifying.
And here is the fundamental problem with that. Your anger is a healthy, normal signal. It's your internal alarm system saying, hey, that's not okay. But when you're in the fawn response, you choose the other person's comfort over your own safety every single time, swallowing those feelings down.
And finally, sign number 6 is just a deep, chronic exhaustion that you can never seem to shake. And it makes perfect sense, right? Being on high alert constantly, trying to manage everyone else's emotions while suppressing your own, that is incredibly draining. And I really need you to hear this. If you feel this way, you are not being lazy. Your nervous system has just been running a marathon, working overtime nonstop to keep you safe. That level of hypervigilance is completely unsustainable, and of course you're exhausted.
So, if you recognize yourself in some of these signs, you might be thinking, okay, great, now what? Well, the good news is you do not have to live in survival mode forever. Let's talk about one small but really powerful step you can take to start breaking this cycle.
But first, please, let this message sink in. You are not broken. Your brain learned these habits to protect you, and it did its job. But now, you can gently start to teach it new ways to feel safe.
A fantastic place to start is by practicing I statements. It's a simple, non-confrontational formula. First, you just state the specific behavior. When you do this, then you state how it makes you feel. I feel uncomfortable. And finally, you state your boundary clearly, and I'm not okay with that. See? It's not about blaming them. It's just about explaining your own experience.
So, I'll just leave you with this question. It doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering change. It could be as tiny as saying, you know, I need a minute to think about that, instead of giving an automatic yes. What is one small boundary you're going to set for yourself this week?